Good afternoon, everybody. This is the group presentation number 3. The topic that we are going to be talking, it's mind and brain. And we are the members of this group are Dani Cordova, Jessica Alcibar, Daniel Pozo, and Carla Mendoza. Let's start, classmates.
Okay, in considering which findings from brain research are relevant to human learning or by extension to education, one must be careful to avoid adopting faddish concepts that have not been demonstrated to be of value in classroom practice. So the fields of neuroscience and cognitive science are helping to satisfy this fundamental curiosity about how people think and learn. So we can see such as an example where the brain keep a process. No? The first part we have concrete experience, the person get an experience, so in this case, include the feeling, and after that, we have the diverging, so it's like feel and watch. Then into the reflective observation, so the people, in this case, the brain process try to get something and simulate how can develop that. Then in assimilation, have the part think and watch. So in the middle, we have the perceptions continuum, because this is like the same process that the brain keep all the time when receive new information. In converging, so have the think and do, then active experimentation, when the people or the brain send information that to people doing, and after that, accommodation, feel and do. So in the next slide, please, Daniel. The next part. Yeah, okay. In this, it's about that we can explain in this chapter. We have the learning change to physical structure of the brain. These structural changes after the functional organization of the brain. In the other words, learning organizes and reorganizes the brain. The different parts of the brain may be ready to learn at different times. So we first explain some basic concepts of neuroscience and new knowledge about brain development, including the effects of instruction and learning on the brain. We then look at the language in learning as an example of the mind-brain connection. Lately, we examined research on how memory is represented in the brain and its implication of learning. So we can see a picture where we can evidence like the child or children keep the process at the moment to learn a new information. Next part, let me see. I think that it is Jessica or Daniel, I don't know.
Okay, the brain as an essential component of learning can be stimulated through the different theories and knowledge. that neuroeducation offers about the human brain, recognizing the factors that affect growth, development, and function. The brain's wiring consists of axon, extension of neurons that make connection with other neurons. By means of these axons, various parts of the brain can keep each other aware of what they are doing. It is important to know that the adults, the inputs that enter the brain are from the eyes and end separately in adjacent region of the visual cortex. People are not born with this neural pattern, but through the normal process of sight, the brain orders things. The more persons interact with the world, the more person needs brain structure. The next slide, please. An account of brain development is early years of children. Is only complete if we first examine the origin of this process. During the prenatal months, brain development is a process that begins about 2 weeks after conception and continues for 4 to 5 years and ends around early adolescence. 90% of the child's brain development happens before age 5 into young adulthood 20 years later. Brain development that occurs during the prenatal months is largely under genetic control. Although clearly the environment can play a role, for example, it is well known that the lack of nutrition like folic acid and the presence of toxins like alcohol can both deleteriously influence the developing brain. In contrast, much of brain development that occur postnatally. It is experience depends and define the gene environment interaction. The next slide, Daniel, please. Learning is a natural process of the human being. Certain information is acquired and stored, waiting to be used when necessary. The brain is the structural and functional system in charge of receiving this information, integrating it, and creating adaptive response based on it. The brain is motivated by learning strategy, which are activities or mental process that students carry out intentionally to process, understand, and adopt the information they receive in educational process. Learning occurs that thanks to neural structure and a series of chemical and electrical processes. There is no learning without memory. We learn when we consolidate what we have acquired in our memory. That is when the transition of information from the store of long-term memory occurs. So the acquisition of automatisms we memorize, but this requires time and practice. Thank you.
Okay, one of the clearest examples that scientists has taken in order to let people understand how people learn has been trying to making rats smart. So trying to prove to people, trying to show up that rats can be smarter. So it comes up with the questions: how do rats learn? Can rats be educated? And we have that in classes study, rats are placed in a complex communal environment filled with objects that provide sample opportunities for exploration and play. This is about Reno, 1976. And according to the information that we can see right now in this slide, it seems to be like if rats can learn, it is explained the way how they can learn through experiences. Here we have an experiment that at that time was taken by scientists, where people where rats were carved into boxes, and others were having a natural developing in their environment. And we can see that the rats who were living in a natural environment, in their natural environment, they were more intelligent than rats that were carved into boxes. Why? Because the experience led those animals to learn more things, to be more faster reacting to the changes of the environment, to when people were nearing them. And for others who were carved into boxes, they were more sample complex. They were having more complex life. They were emerged, they were involved in mechanical systems, that they respond just to mechanical systems. Is that what happened with people when we have classrooms, mechanical classrooms, where students just repeat what the teacher asked them to do it? They are mechanical students. And imagine if we have students repeating information from 80 years ago till now. Why don't we can have students who learn from experiences, reacting to the natural environment they can have around them? This was the focusing that those scientists wanted to let people understand, that students learn from experience. Students can learn, people can learn acting, people can learn experiences and having new discoveries, not just by mechanical samples. Here we are gonna check right now. Let me share with you the sound. We're going to see how smart are rats. Okay.
Hi, Sue Fries from Ecola Termite and Pest Control Services. Are you being outsmarted by a rat? Don't feel too bad, because they are smart. And on top of that, they're great mothers. Do you realize that a mother rat has 5 sets of litters in a year? And every litter has anywhere from 7 to 14 babies. Think about that, because those babies grow up very quickly, within 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and they're an adult enough to be a mother and have 7 to 14 more babies. You can see how a rat problem can get out of control very quickly. So how do we know that rats' mothers are intelligent? One thing we know is that they're very cautious. They're cautious in the sense that if they see something that is not something they recognize or that they've seen before, they might test the waters. They might walk over it. So what we do as professionals is we will set a trap, not set. We will not set the trap. We'll just let it sit there for a while, because they are very coy about how to get something off of that trap without setting that trap off. Rats can learn and adapt about 10 times quicker than us as humans. If a rat observes another rat getting snapped in the trap, the rat that's observing it is going to avoid that area completely. We also have to use gloves because they can smell a human smell, and they want to smell a rat smell, not a human smell, so they'll avoid anything that smells like a human. And on that note, this is why we reuse traps that we've already used in a previous situation, because then they have that smell and it makes it more familiar to them. We know that rats like the familiarity of smelling other rats, and it gives them a safety feeling. Even more so, they follow the urine trail of the alpha rat because they feel even more protected and more safe. So on a personal note, We had an incident where a customer called us and they'd had other companies out there before us, and we thought we'd go in there and we'd fix the problem that others couldn't solve. And so we went there and we did everything protocol, we did everything correctly, but for some reason this rat was still getting in. So we had a camera purchased. We put a camera video in the attic so that we could watch during the night of exactly what was going on. This isn't something we do every single day, but it's something we needed to do so we could get more educated and catch this rat. So we did, and you will see the video. It's a mommy, and she's carrying her little babies, and you can just see how much care she takes into these babies and how smart she is. And something that we never thought could happen, happened, and we discovered how she was entering this area. So as you can see by watching this video, these mother rats have to be very, very smart. And as you can see, they're very highly protective, and they teach their young how to avoid traps. So if you do feel like you're being outsmarted by that rat, don't feel bad. It's okay. You can see by this.
Okay, this has been an experiment about how can react those animals in comparison to how people can learn. Okay.
Video.
Sorry, let me continue. Okay, now we have role of instruction in brain development. Clearly, the brain can store information, but what kind of information? The neuroscientist does not address this question. Answering them is the job of cognitive scientists, education researchers, and others who study the effects of experiences of human behavior and human potential. Several examples illustrate how instructions in a specific kind of information can influence natural development processes. This section discusses a case involving language development. Okay. Now we have the conclusion with Carla Mendoza.
As conclusions, we have that the functional organization of the brain and the mind depends on what benefits positively the experience. As a second conclusion, we had that development is not merely a biological driving unfolding process, but also an active process that there is essential information from experience. Then we thought that research has shown that some experiences have the most powerful effects during a specific sensitive periods, while others can affect the brain over a much longer time. There is an important issue that needs to be determined in relation to education, which themes are tied to critical periods. For example, some aspects of phonetic perception and language learning, and for which themes in this time it should be analyzed from the exposure less critical. From these findings, it is clear that there are qualitative differences among kinds of learning opportunities. In addition, the brain creates informational experiences through mental activities such as inferencing, category information, and so forth. These are types of learning opportunities that can be facilitated, and we can conclude that it is the bridge too far, to paraphrase John Brewer from the thought that he had from 1997. He suggested that specific activities lead to neural branching, such as Cardelicchio and Thiel, as some interpreters from neuroscience has implied. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for your participation. This has been our work. Goodbye.